I can talk. So I've kind of got them up near the top of the screen. So,
all right. Okay. So we are live. Welcome to this week's interview with the different security awareness professionals within the community globally. And this week, I'm really excited to be speaking with Mike. And Mike, I just realized I meant to ask you how to say your last name.
Yeah, I was just about to say, pronounce it. Go on.
I will let you.
Ouwerkerk. 60 minutes.
Ouwerkerk.
Kirk. So
All right. So
that's the easy way of saying it. That'll be
all right.
enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks.
Well,
Thanks for the intro.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I just got called out on my own. But no, you work with website staff. You're a trainer with, you go in person and you do virtual security awareness trainings for companies.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to bring you and have you on, kind of being the other side, being the person that's doing the trainings within different companies. And so if you'll just do a quick intro and tell us a little more about you, and then we'll kind of jump into the subject.
Yeah, so look, I do live training only. That's all I do, face to face. So whether I'm in the company, great. Sitting with people in a boardroom, that's cool. Or the Zoom stuff or the team stuff as well. Still face to face. Yeah. So and I got into this stuff because I was doing like IT consulting, and my clients were getting hacked. I just thought I'd put something together. It was pretty rough and ugly, but geez, it made a difference. So I've just built this stuff up, and yeah, small operation, but I love it. It's great. I love the results, and I love telling stories and generally just being an idiot. So kind of works for me, right?
Very nice. I know, like I follow you on LinkedIn, and it sounds like you get a lot of great engagement and a lot of great feedback from people with the presentations you do.
Yeah,
So,
I've always been pretty cheeky. I like to have a bit of fun. So, and I get to do
you have
that.
to.
I can sit in
Yeah.
those sessions and crack jokes and just say things and normally wouldn't be able to say in a board meeting or something. And people like having fun. Who knew? Crazy, right?
Right. Well, it's important, because people think of security awareness training and it's like, oh gosh, here we go again. Let me like check out, So you definitely have to engage and make it, surprising and interesting, for sure. So one of the, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Under promise and over deliver. Sometimes I do that. I go, who's done awareness training before? They go, oh, yeah, me. And I go, was it boring? They go, yeah. I go, yeah, sorry about that. I probably won't be able to do any better, And then you get to the end of the session and they're like, oh, that was great. Like, yeah. So, sorry,
Nice.
stop interrupting.
No. It's, but it has to do with mentality too. Like, you set up the mentality. That's important to set that pace. And speaking of mentalities, our topic today is, are humans the weakest link? Because that's something that you hear a lot. You see it a lot in print. You hear people talking about it as a way to, I mean, they mean it for well, right? As a way to say, hey, we need to invest more in our people and training them, right? Because humans are our weakest link. So we've got to gird that up and, strengthen that. But, you have a kind of a different perspective. And so I wanted to kind of explore that a little more and just to get, a new idea kind of in the mind and kind of see how we can maybe work through it.
Yeah, cool. Look, I will say I have made notes on this, so my eyes might flicker around, but I want to make sure I sort of speak to that and give my best thoughts because I spent a bit of time on this. And look, I know what you're talking about. Weakest link, human error, stupid users, that sort of stuff, right? And we were talking before the session started, and I said I actually used to kind of think like that. But look, I will say this: are humans the weakest link? Yes, 100%. You wouldn't have expected me to say that, right? But I will clarify what I mean, and it's
all right.
It is rational, right? So look, I'll start with saying this. When we say humans are or human firewall and things like that, I don't like that. I think it's so impersonal, and we're treating
Mm.
people like some sort of object. It's like,
Right.
you don't say, "Hey, do you like my quadruped?" You say, "Hey, do you like my dog?" It's like, it's a thing. It's got emotions. So I kind of
Right.
like took it's people, right? So I always say
Right.
people. Um, yeah, look, the analogy that I have here, I'd say this. Let's say you started a company, right? And management says, take the car and go and pick something up. You're like, yeah, cool. I don't have a driver's license, but they get your stuff there. Just go and pick something up. You're like, okay. So you get in the car, you crash the car, smash it up, it's gone. Come back, hey boss, sorry, I stacked the car. Boss is like, what the heck? Why'd you do that? You go, I don't know how to drive. I'm like, well, that's a bit crap. You're like, well, no one taught me how to drive. So whose fault is that? Right?
Hmm.
So, when you know how to drive, you've done the training, you know the risks, you know what to
Right.
look out for. So it's exactly the same with computers. It's the same with, the social engineering, phones, however the threats come to us. If you turn up at a company and management just goes, away you go, and they're not assessing your ability to spot risk and deal with it, that's not great. So yeah,
Right.
you're gonna get tricked, right? And people are very heavily targeted with this stuff because criminals know we're easy to trick. So um,
Definitely.
so when I say, is it human error? You have to look at where the responsibility lies. Um, where does risk lie? It's at the board, the exec, management, depending on the size of the company. And did they organise for that person to get the proper training? That's their job, right? They have to deal with the risk. They have to minimise it and put the controls in place. If they're
Right.
not giving the people good training and just sticking them in front of the risk, well, there's your human error.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. And I actually wrote an article on this quite a while back, and I put it on my blog. And I kind of worked through logically, and I came up with this phrase. I said, in summary, human error is expecting to get the best out of your people when you haven't helped them to be at their best. And
Yeah.
that
That's
sits
great.
at the top, right? So for me, yeah, it's human error, but it ain't the people you expect. It's not stupid users and that, because give them good training and they'll do a good job for you.
Right.
Don't blame them when they don't have the knowledge.
Well,
That
there's such a misunderstanding or expectation, I guess, is that as technology has, gone through warp speed,
mm,
right, of these changes and advances, we somehow think that the users have warped with the technology and understanding, and and so you would think, oh, well, they've been working with technology since they've been in elementary school, assuming that they've been taught these good habits where
yeah,
that's not the norm right now at all
people,
anywhere.
people are people, right? So that naturally, you kind of by default, you might be trusting and helpful and maybe a bit gullible, and the crims know that, so they exploit that. I mean,
Right.
there's so many ways to trick people, and I guess we'll cover this, but really, people aren't suspicious enough. And
Right.
you got to get that suspicion into them somehow. You don't have to know all this stuff, but if you're suspicious, you're going to take a pause. You're going to go, "Oh, that could be a scam." Great, you know.
Yeah.
There's so many ways, and
Close
I like
you.
to. I've always been a naturally very suspicious person. Right, I've done a lot of backpacking, been to your fine country,
Oh
had a
yeah.
lot of scams targeted my way. Always spotted them, right? Because I'm just, I've missed shootings. I've had guns pulled on me. I've had groups try to mug me and
Wow.
professional pickpocket gangs, and always see it coming and got out of it. So this stuff was kind of
Wow.
like a natural progression for me to get into. But yeah, I think
For sure.
if we can build that, it makes such a difference.
It does. I come from the opposite end of being just extremely naturally trusting
Yeah,
and, not real aware of my circumstances in general. Grew up in small towns, everybody left their car doors open, the house you only locked at night. And it was just a very trusting environment. And, you know, as I've gotten into security awareness, it's made not only my online awareness, more keyed up, but also, out and about in my everyday life. There is a transition from one to the other and back and forth. It's sadly needed, but it's not something, unlike what they teach in schools for like crossing the street and wear your seatbelt and put on a helmet, you know, um, nobody's trying to trick you to do otherwise. Right? Whereas with online awareness and online safety, people are constantly looking for, how can I manipulate you? How can I catch you when you're distracted? And these are the things that we have to teach people, is that self-awareness, as well as situational awareness online.
Yeah, yeah. And it doesn't have to, like, I think you need that voice, but it doesn't have to be like outwardly obvious either. It's not like you
Yeah.
just look at people going, "Or you're a scumbag. What are you trying to do?" Like, it's just a little voice that sits there, and you process it quickly, and
Right.
and you can take a pause on stuff, and you can do that politely, But
Right.
it's just got to be there, and
Right.
the stronger that voice gets, the safer you'll be. It's
Yeah.
easy to take a pause on stuff and ask for help if you're not sure. Great.
I think that's one of the biggest things that can really help people.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about, okay, so, where does the responsibility lie? And you said something when we were talking about the topic originally was, is it really that the humans are the problem, or is it a change management issue?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
Look, I think, yeah, change management definitely ties into this stuff. And look, when you break this stuff up, a lot of people kind of talk about it as ABCs. You got your awareness, and then you kind of change this behavior, and then you want to build a culture. But that
mhm.
process end to end, you're constantly changing to achieve that. So for
Right.
me, yeah, this stuff is very firmly about change management. And I used to be a project manager, and you do change management with a bit of that stuff. Change management 101: get people along for the ride. You know,
Hmm.
and this ties into the whole stupid use weakest link thing. I'll probably get to that in a bit, but look, basically, you got to motivate people to change. And this is something I've found and especially in this day and age, there's a lot of jobs around, right? People are in high demand. So
Yeah.
do they really care about their company so much? Like, whatever, I can get a job. So you got to get a care factor. So something I certainly do is I just bang on about home use, right? And I start off just saying, look, everything I teach you is relevant for home, right? Because you got a bank
Right.
account, or you got kids on social media, you got parents, yeah. Oh, you got information. What can they do with that? So, and I've got so many examples where I talk about that stuff because, yeah, look, if you want people to change, make them dissatisfied. If they're not dissatisfied, they're like, well, where's the motivation to change? So
Yeah.
suddenly you go, hey, someone's going to clean out your bank account, and I tell a story like that, and I go, oh, right. Suddenly I get it, right. I think, a big part of it is what is in it for me, and
Yeah.
you've got to address that stuff. You've got to get people along for the ride, and I think the way you convey that as well when you kick this stuff off with change management is like I said, don't start with weakest link and all that sort of stuff. If you're starting with that at the top of the organization and going, well, I've got the weakest link, you've already started with the wrong mindset.
Mm.
You're blaming them for your problem. They're
Right.
not. They're not the problem. They're the solution. So
Mm. Yeah.
instead of saying you guys suck, now we have to train you, maybe start off with, hey, cybersecurity is important to us, and you guys, you can unlock it for us. You can be awesome. So let's do this stuff. And guess what? There's great tips in here to keep you guys safe at home too. You can share
Right.
this information, and we'll be supporting you, and it'll be great. And build that excitement, change management. Get people along for it. Keep it positive. And that for me is how you start this stuff. Um,
It
don't
really is. It's
start it
that
the other way
reframing,
around.
right?
Yeah, don't start it.
Yeah.
I'm building a website, my new website at the moment. And the first thing you will see is something like people can be an amazing cybersecurity asset if you teach them properly. Is it time to take charge of that process? Something like that.
I like that.
Whereas so often you see that, people are a risk sort of flavor of things. So,
Yeah.
not inspiring to me being blamed.
Right. Right.
And then being
Or being
told,
called a risk
you
management. I'm just managing a risk. Again, it
yeah,
goes back to that dehumanizing.
yeah,
So much of what security awareness does is really revolves around communication.
yeah,
Communication is so crucial and it has to be effective, and it's got to be from the right nuance, right? Because
yeah,
it sets the tone for everything. It's
yeah,
marketing essentially.
yeah,
so, so
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
So in your trainings, when you go into different organizations of all different sizes,
yeah,
um, you know, have you do you kind of give them like a next steps kind of thing after, just like suggest, obviously you're not going to tell them what to
yeah,
do, but like, just kind of as like a, extra to kind of continue,
absolutely.
the training,
Yeah,
like what does
yeah,
that look
yeah.
like to kind of help boost them?
So yeah, I train them. I get them all suspicious, and I keep it simple. I keep it fun. They go away just got that suspicion going. Oh my god, there's so many ways I can be scammed. Simple rules, but then yeah, absolutely. The last thing I say is keep it going, right? Because the awareness stuff is the beginning of your journey. It's
Right,
literally the start.
right,
And then it's up to them to keep building that awareness, build that voice, build the suspicion, and this is the cultural change stuff. So yeah, do I give them stuff? Yeah, I give them some resources and say, you know,
nice.
and I give them like a cheat sheet, a 2-pager summarizing
Hmm.
everything I teach, and say, at a bare minimum, talk about this stuff at a staff meeting, right? But yeah, look, the cultural
Nice.
change stuff, you're talking frameworks here. There's frameworks for building this stuff, and you can help companies do it. And you work through the what and things like that, and then you start doing, the branding and slogans and mindset of management, and do the training and measure and iterative and continuous improvement. But yeah, I give them some resources, um, yeah, breach response template and some sample procedures and policies that I talk about in the training, and then yeah, like I said, the cheat sheet and some
Right,
ideas for where to get additional information, who to follow on LinkedIn, for example, or check out this resource. And then hey,
right.
that's information you can share. And hey, if someone gets a good scam, cool, share it. Don't forward the scam. A picture of it would be great.
Right.
I
Right,
send
right,
on
right. Don't click to find out where it goes. Just
yes, like no. But yeah, look, it's important because I'm not the look. I know in the awareness space, some companies focus on that ongoing thing. Look, generally, I'd say I'm in a bit of a niche here where I turn up and scare people or empower them. I like to think it's both, and
yeah.
hopefully do a great job. Leave them with some stuff, and over to you. If you want help, call me. But
Hmm.
I probably a bit more in and out in that regard.
Right.
Uh, so
Right.
yeah, but they do have to keep it going. Absolutely, they
Do
do.
you ever return to a company to
Oh
kind of
yeah,
see and it's kind of seen progression?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I do get one of
That's
the
awesome.
problems. One of the problems I get is generally speaking. I think I do a pretty good job. So when I train them, they're kind of like, "Oh, I get it now." So
Uh-huh.
do they need me back? They don't need me back every year because I ring them up. They go, no, we just get it, And I have it. They get new
Right.
staff, and they say, "We'll come back and do the new stuff." I had a
Right.
company I trained about 5 years ago. They went great session. They asked me back about a year ago. Every company I turn up at, I try and trick them, right? I try and get them to plug in a USB, and then in training, I go, "Hey, did you know that could be a real dodgy thing?" Right? I explain why I work through that stuff. And I went up to staff that I'd never seen before, and I go, "Hey, can you just print this out for me?" And they look at me and go, "Oh, no, I'm not doing that." I go, "Why not?" I go, "No, I've heard about that." I go, "Really?" And I kept walking around and no one would plug the thing in. I'm going, in the session, I go, how did you know that? How did you know that? They go, because we talk about it. I'm going, well, that's awesome, right? And in fact, look, that company that I did come back for, they said, look, our IT support provider did phishing training on every client. We're the only ones that didn't get tricked with a link,
Wow.
and I trained them 5 years ago. So
That's amazing.
Good. That's good. It just shows the power of good training,
Right.
But yeah, look, I do go back for sure, but generally it would be for new staff, or sometimes I do a refresher. It might be a shorter course, just covering stuff.
Right. Kind of focused.
Hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? But yes, yeah, absolutely. It's good. It's good to keep reminding yourself.
Right. No, it is, that constant awareness, because the scams are always changing. So you definitely have to, at the very minimum, have to be constantly learning, okay, what's the newest trend in scams right now?
Yeah, and I think
You
like
know?
the content, like I'm always refining the content. Um, the rules that I've got, they're pretty consistent. I mean, rules around this stuff are essentially, hey, you
Right.
could be dodgy, chase it up, right?
Right.
and different flavors of that, but really that's the core of it. But
Right.
yeah, I think the thing that changes is the stories. I'm
Yes.
always trying to keep it topical. So, like at the moment, when I start talking about external company breaches in Australia, I don't know if you're up on this stuff, man. Places falling apart with external company breaches at the
I
moment.
did see one come through my feed earlier
Yeah.
this week.
So I get to external company breaches and I go, oh, I'm just going to rename this section Optus, right? Because Optus is a big telco here that got hacked, and people kind of laugh at that. They're like, oh, yeah, okay. Suddenly they get it. And then I'll talk through that. And I'll go, and by the way, this is how Uber got hacked, and that's how that relates to multi-factor authentication. And this is how
Kind
this
of tie it
poor
together.
lady, this is how this poor lady just got cleaned out of a life savings because someone did a domain name similar to what you expect. So the stories are always changing to be topical. The content kind of quite refined, but yeah, you got to. It does change. It keeps changing.
Right.
You got to relate to
Yeah,
people.
for sure. For sure. So what kind of I guess, do you have like a kind of any um structure or outline, or even just kind of takeaways that you would encourage people to consider when talking about, right? Security awareness within their organization, right? Maybe they're
Yeah,
doing, they're responsible for doing the training themselves,
yeah.
and coming at it from the, again, the weakest link perspective. And, how would you encourage people to kind of, approach that or consider it when they're communicating with others?
So you're saying how would they do it themselves, or I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, sorry. Just, tips on how you would encourage other people to communicate the importance of security awareness, and or to advocate for it more within their organization.
Okay. Look, tips I would say is make sure get someone who's a good storyteller. So no
Mhm.
matter what, whether it's internal or external, storytelling is king. So
Right.
that is a lot of
Right.
what you got to do is tell stories if you face to face. So yeah, look, if you got to get them to tell you a story and see how they go, because that's what you want. You need someone who's confident presenting, and hopefully knows a bit of cybersecurity stuff too, because sometimes you get some pretty wacky out there questions, right? But yeah, how engaging is that person going to be, and are people going to soak them up and just be hanging
Hmm.
off every breath? Because that's just massive. Content, look, you've got to have good content too. I mean, doesn't matter how you look at it. If you got crappy, boring content, people are going to fall asleep. So,
Right. Right. It's not what we want.
you and I say fun and engaging, right? And fun, everyone loves fun. Engaging can be scary. You can
Mhm.
scare people and they will be hanging off your every breath too, right? So it doesn't just have to be, warm and fluffy. You can tell some horror
Right.
stories. And look, I get comments, people going, well, stuff that, I'm going to go and live in a cave now. Like, it's
I have that feeling often.
yeah. And yeah, look, you got to be flexible with stuff too. If you got, if you're doing training, whether it's someone coming in or internal, be prepared to bend to what the organisation needs.
Right.
Stuff does
Right.
change. What else? Yeah, stuff like that. I think the key thing is, when you're doing this stuff, just make sure you've got someone who's really passionate about it. You pull together some good content, or just get someone internal, external who knows how to do it, or go for Wizer or something. But look, there's lots of options out there. The key thing is do something,
Right. To get
because
started, because
yeah, just do it, right? Start with kind of like suspicion.
uh-huh.
That's the key for me. Just do that, and then do some sort of training, whatever it is, and then keep it going. Keep building
Right.
it, keep reminding people short, sharp. And
Right.
if you can do that, at least you've started. You're probably better than a lot of companies, and your risk is going down.
Right.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
And the thing you said earlier about the individuals themselves, you know, um, of getting them, telling them, hey, you're our solution, right?
mm,
Get kind of like you said earlier, you're empowering them. I think
yeah,
that's like a really critical perspective to bring with you into that presentation, whether you're talking to the board about the program or whether you're addressing the employees in your business,
yeah.
to let them know they're not powerless.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes like I said, some people want to move into a cave and whatever, but you've always got to kind of bring them back and say, would you rather be out on the internet or whatever, not knowing this stuff? You go like, for me, I go, look, I'm totally comfortable rolling with this stuff. I don't think anyone's going to trick me in a hurry. If they do, they're
Right.
going to spend some time on it, right? So I feel safe. I'm good at this
Yeah.
stuff. I'm fast at it. There's link. Bang. Is that safe? Yeah, I'm not going to click
Right.
on that. That it's just empowering. You've always got
Yeah.
to try and get them to think like that, think in the positive. Because sometimes they're like, oh, what have I been clicking on for the last 10 years? And I always get that question like, how do I
Yeah.
know if I've been hacked? Okay. Oh, I hate that question. I basically go, yeah, you kind of need someone with tech knowledge to have a look on your computer and see what's running. And
Right.
so,
Right. But you can start now and kind of,
yeah, you can
building it for the future.
hope you haven't been hacked yet. Hope they're
Yeah.
not watching you on your webcam already. Oh,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you're talking about like, how empowering it makes you. You feel confident. It made me think of just the guardrails, right? That they put up at critical turns. It
yeah.
allows you to drive faster because there've been guardrails in place. There's a certain amount of shoulder width, hopefully, unless you're on certain mountain roads, but
So what
it
you're saying?
allows you to go faster.
So what you're saying is you're a racing car driver on public roads. What you just admitted to in front of all these people.
Well, that's why I take public transportation now. They
I
don't
just
let
like
me
to say
drive.
that I stick to the speed limit no matter what and obey all road signs, even on my motorbike.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's a really
yeah,
a great way to
absolutely.
look at it too.
Yeah,
For
people
sure.
people can be much safer out there if we help them. Do a good job.
Right,
Cool, make them confident.
right.
And kids, I think one of the big things is sharing the knowledge too. You kind of like, I think of my kids and I try and share the knowledge with them, but hey, I've got a teenager in there and she knows more than me apparently. So it's like, go away, Dad, you're annoying, sort of stuff. Good luck, really. You're on the guest Wi-Fi network. You're not touching the main one, and you're never touching my computer. And there's things I do to
Right,
mitigate the risk there. But
right,
I try and share stuff with them, like things like don't ever post stuff about yourself online that you don't want other people to see, and I
right,
try to cover the links and chat groups, and people will get you to click on a link, and that's enough to get you hacked. So, and my son, he's good at this stuff. He's really good. He's better than my teenage daughter.
Is he in elementary? Or junior?
I don't know what that means. He's in primary school, the first one.
Primary. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Primary.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
But
going for.
he's pretty good at this stuff.
Very nice.
He's getting into the computers and he's building his own games and stuff. So, God.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Pretty fascinating to watch the talent evolve. So
That
yeah,
is,
but
yeah.
you got to share this stuff. You got to share the knowledge, especially
Yeah,
parents
absolutely.
as well. Parents, my parents are good. Just delete. Who's that?
Yeah, no.
Going up. I go, that works for you. That's what you do. And they are so suspicious, and they just go, oh, stuff. I don't know that person. I'm just going to delete that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No.
It works. So
It is, it's just checking in, but also when we're teaching others, right, we learn more as well. So it makes you think of more questions going, oh, I don't know, let me go investigate. So, I think that's a really, like you were saying, teaching again, using the home for teaching strengthens also your, awareness at work as well, because now you're becoming a teacher and you're having to look for solutions. And so I think, there's so many benefits to it. Well, is there anything else we didn't cover that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
Let me check my notes. No, that stuff's all cool. I think we did that. We did that. No, we did it. We did it all. That's great. I think that was
Awesome.
great. We covered some cool stuff. I didn't tell you my joke. Can I tell you?
Oh, let's hear the joke.
Yeah, I did my joke, and I actually use this in my training because it's so bad it's good. But yeah, basically, I had to change. You got to change your password sometimes. Well, actually, I kind of don't. I use strong passwords and all unique or whatever. But I was trying to change my password the other day online, and it said that I was going to use. I tried to do one of those passphrases. You pick some unrelated words, and I thought, well, just quick off the top of my head, beef stew.
Okay.
It told me it wasn't strong enough, so I couldn't use that. Stroganoff, beef stew.
I got it.
Stroganoff.
Took me a minute. Sorry, it's been a while since I've had.
I get with the program. I told you it was bad.
Very nice. Yes, I got it. Well, and people can follow you for more of your jokes on LinkedIn.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty prolific on LinkedIn. I post a lot of stuff. Some of it's funny, some of it's weird, some of it I don't know. Someone else can be the judge of what I post, but I also think someone's got to make it interesting, and that's what we try to do, right? You guys,
definitely. I enjoy it.
Out there just trying to make it a bit more engaging. That's what it needs.
No, you do. You have great posts, and so people can definitely reach out to you on LinkedIn. And your website is websafestaff.com. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And and we'll be we'll have this recording also posted on our website at wizer.com in our webinars, and we'll also have a write up. So please, make connections with Mike, follow him, and learn from his great insights. I think that really just kind of keep you thinking. And thank you so much again, Mike, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was fun. I really appreciate the opportunity. That was cool.
A pleasure.
All right.